for the zombie fish.
Israel Finn is a writer of horror, of dark fantasy. He was the winner of the 80th annual Reader's Digest short story competition, and he looks very grumpy in his author profile pic. Published in 2016, Dreaming at the Top of My Lungs has both a title and a cover that lets you know that what you're about to read is going to be a little bit odd. Now, the first thing to note is that this is not strictly horror. In a lot of anthologies, you'll get a lot of variety, but there usually is a unifying theme of trying to create unease in the reader. That isn't the case here, and it's not necessarily a negative, but it's something to keep in mind before you begin reading. I would also like to add that when we're talking about anthologies that have over 10 stories long, we're always going to have natural dips in how engaged we are from tale to tale, which doesn't always necessarily relate to the quality of them. Sometimes you'll have one of them that just really knocks out of the park, and in doing so, it kind of takes away from the one that comes after it. And then there's also the factor that certain themes just resonate with us more. My main criticism of this collection, in what are always pretty non-spoilery reviews, was that I'm not sure that Finn really explored or did justice to some of the different themes he was going for. There's one called Water and War, where an alien has been allowed into somebody's house as a guest and they talk about worldly matters. I thought that had a lot of potential, but fell a little bit flat at the end. And similarly, there was another story called Stones, where it's sexuality basically is changed in the future, and some guy on the run is after his woman who is being kept somewhere, and I basically feel that Finn failed a little bit there in trying to achieve whatever effect he was going for. But like with most video reviews I'm willing to do, there was more good than bad. The third one, Over My Dead Body, had a really great payoff at the end. You could say a kind of little bit cliche to have seen that stuff before, but it was so well rendered that by the time I got to the end of that story, I was like, that was very satisfying. Deadfall Lane is just straight up good writing from beginning to end, more classical horror, lots of tension, and a great vengeful theme. But I think it's perhaps the shorter stories where I got the best flavour of Finn, as of the author and perhaps what he's been through in his life. Very short stories. One, Deathbed, that was very hard-hitting, and the one directly at the end, Ugly, that kind of combined dark themes, a feeling of sympathy for one, and just a fantastical element that conjured up different emotions than just your basic kind of jump out your seat horror. So maybe some of the themes don't really work, and there probably was a little bit of a difference in the quality of storytelling with some of the tales, but ultimately I think Dreaming at the Top of My Lungs is definitely worth the read. It's got some great stuff in there, and I'm going to have to give it a very solid 3.5 goat skulls out of 5.